Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Franchise Show. This is the show, and I'm going to do it where we get under the hat of all things franchising. And it's a live show. In fact, you're joining me live here from the Purple Palace, or the Premier Inn. It's live if it's December 2nd at about 5:15 for around 50 minutes. And because it's live, if you are here live, we love you to get involved, say hello, and get involved in the conversations, because I start off with that written down. Not much. There's some lines on that paper, but that's about it. And that's because we have a conversation and we take direction from you, the directors and the producers of this show. And the conversation goes whichever way you wish it to go. But we do have a topic and we have a lovely guest, and today is no exception to that. We have a fantastic guest. But first of all, let me tell you what the topic is. And the topic is the Great Franchise Marketing Reboot. So we're going to be joined, and we are joined by the lovely Michel leconte from SEO Samba. Fantastic to have you with us, Michel. Welcome.
Hello, everyone. Pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's an absolute pleasure always to have you on the show, and it's a really important topic. But look, before we get into that, we have people that have been here many times, but we have new people that join the show, and we have people in the future that join the show. So perhaps you could give a little introduction to yourself and to SEO Samba, and then we can get into things today.
Yeah, with pleasure. I'm Michel leconte, so I'm the CEO of SEO Samba. SEO Samba is a marketing and sales automation platform. We specialize in multi-locations businesses, servicing their needs. Going from franchise development all the way to brand marketing, basically, and we certainly have the goods for that. So that's what we do, and we've been doing that for a number of years, in fact, since 2008.
Wow, fantastic! And how did you get involved in the world of franchising? What sort of brought you to the business of marketing, and particularly marketing within franchise businesses?
Yeah, well, I mean, to the multi-location lens, I used to run an IT business in the Bay Area, in San Francisco, and going through the dot-com crash, 9/11, everything that we had to go through, essentially, in the US, but in this neck of the wood, basically, we still managed somehow to grow to a few locations. And as we were expanding, we realized that it would be nice to expand the result that we are getting with Google locally in San Francisco in other geographical locations. So, that's how the first idea behind SEO Samba originated. And many years later, when look into these problems, right? Again, I found out that there were no good solution for it. So I decided to just go at it and give it a go and see if we could solve that problem.
Fantastic. I love it. And we're going to get into the topic of rebooting or rethinking our franchise marketing in a moment. Before we do that, I want to touch on another side of your business. We're in the world of franchising here, and you've just released the SEO Samba Top 100 Franchise Influencer list. Perhaps let us know what that is all about, and how that sort of forms a part of your own marketing, and why you feel that's important.
Yeah, so the top 100 are actually global influencers, right? You should know about that.
I was pretending I didn't there for the nature of the show.
So we're not exclusively focused on the US market, but we welcome everyone who's got to contribute, and that's really what what that recognition is about. That's recognizing the people that actually make that contribution to the franchising world. And so they might be franchisors, they might be working for franchisors, they might be franchisees, they might be brokers, they might be suppliers to the industry. I mean, everybody is welcome, and obviously we encourage all the nominations out there, and it's really a popularity contest, right? So it's a way to yield influence and to show that you can wield influence is basically to get people to actually nominate and support your nomination, right? And so that's what it's a pretty even playing field, and so we like that as well, because every year obviously you have people that have a huge network, so they don't need many supporters essentially, or a fraction of the support group to cast a vote to actually make a difference and get them on the list. But for many others, it does take an effort essentially to make sure that they drum up enough support to make it to the list, right? And so that's basically our modest participation to the industry, and obviously it plays into getting our brand name out there. And from year to year, we've been improving on it, making building up and maintaining the relationship more intensely, as well across the nominees, the nominators, the winners.
Good word, nominees.
And so it's a long list. Yes, it gets to be a long list, and so last year we were all about Greek gods, and this year it's all about space, right? I mean, I think there is a quote unquote comet that is going through our skies, or solar system, should I say, but not really our skies, but or back garden, right, at the present time. So I don't know if you heard about that whole controversy around it, but it's quite a fascinating object, and so we decided to actually piggyback on this and make the case for franchise influencers as being the space pioneers, right, all the way to the edge of universe and beyond.
I love it, and of course I know the list very well, and a lot of people. We are going to get on to our subject, but I wanted to talk about this because it's important. It's just been launched, but for me, it was very much when I started in the industry where I looked for people to connect with, people to learn from, people to collaborate with, and it was a very important resource to me. I mean, I've been privileged and honoured to be part of the list for 2 years. I hope that I continue to add relevance and interest through doing this. But you know what? It's all of the people that are in this community that are on that list, in my view. Everybody who comments, everybody who watches these, and everybody who's in the industry is adding value to the industry. But look, I love it. Anyway, before we get on to our subject today, let's welcome a few people who have joined us here live. We have the lovely Katrina Newman, QFP. I'm going to give you your full title, Katrina. And she's put, hello, Harvey and Michelle. Lovely to be here today.
Hey, Katrina.
We have the lovely Simon Wise. Always good to have Simon with us. Always puts in some great challenging questions, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they're going to be today. And he's put, hello, franchise friends, from a very warm St Albans in Hertfordshire. Well, Simon, I'm in St Albans as well today. So, yes, it is a little unseasonably warm. We have the fantastic Penny Hopkinson. Penny is one of our lovely supporters. And Penny, I have forgotten your book. It's at home, but I would normally show it. I'm certainly going to show you a QR code. Penny is, of course, our ops manual specialist. And she has now turned that into an AI-generated ops manual that can really save you quite a lot of time. And she's put, hello, Harvey and Michelle and all franchise friends. Great to be back again from a very sunny Central America. Well, Amazing. Yes, of course. Penny is away at the moment. I don't know what time it is there, but thank you. I guess it's for lunchtime for Penny, but fantastic for you to join us when you're on your travels. And looking forward to hearing your thoughts on marketing and how we can reapproach that subject of marketing, because I think we're going to be discussing the fact that things are changing at quite a rapid rate. We got a couple more people to welcome, and then we're going to get into things today. We got the wonderful Leslie Flowers with us. Leslie has her show, Think and Grow Rich, on a Friday. I would absolutely recommend you to check that out. Very important for me, very relevant in the industry. She's put, hello, everyone from North Carolina. So we get people from all over the place here today. We have got Katrina Newman saying weather report from Windsor, cold and wet. Well, there you go. But look, fantastic to have you all with us. We got a question coming up from Simon. Before we get to that, let's start by trying to describe where we're at. Where we've kind of come from and where we are now in terms of marketing our franchise business. How has that evolved up to a point where we're sort of where we are at the moment, and then we can sort of talk about how it's going to change.
Well, before talking specifically about franchise marketing, I think we need to talk about the marketing landscape, right? And generally speaking, I mean, everybody's talking about AI, ChatGPT, Gemini, and so forth, but almost nobody's asking, in my sense, what is the most important question. And that is, how does AI plug into your marketing system? And so not in theory, not in the deck, but in real life. And the truth is, most companies, most businesses, they don't have an AI problem. They have a structure problem. Too many tools, not enough infrastructure. And so I think the topic of today is really about exploring the real foundation of high performance marketing in this AI era. And so in this AI era, where lie the answer for high performance marketing is not in the AI itself, because you can plug different models. You can, there are a number of models that are available out there, and you can swap them around, so you can try different things. But what you need is an infrastructure underneath it, so that it can feed the context, the proper context, to the AI. And so that's really, and so when it comes to franchise and franchising brand, the issue is compounded, because if you're talking about how to unify a marketing infrastructure, it's a hard thing to do when you deal with a single entity. Now imagine that when you actually have multiple owners, area developers, multi-unit owners, you name it, right? You have all those multiple layers, and you got all those silos basically that are at those different levels. And so that's in my sense, that's really the question to explore.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. There are all these within franchising. Certainly, there are all these different layers, and I think you're also right in the fact that people look at AI and they think, what tool should I use? And they buy another tool, they add on another tool, and they forget to think about that infrastructure and how they're really using that. And I think you've got to go back to some basics there in your marketing strategy as to how you can leverage AI and some modern tools to make your messaging and your value proposition come across in an efficient and coherent way throughout those layers of the business. And like you said, it's really hard to just do that directly. Even harder when you've got those additional layers.
Well, I mean, when you think about it, the last 10 years, right? They've been about one channel, one tool. The result is that you get a CRM over here, you get the social scheduler over there, you get the reviews over there, you get the SEO tool on the other side, you got the email tool. Those are silos that you're going to find everywhere within the organization. And then once you contextualize this to a franchise brand, you multiply the dimension, because then you got all the locations and people go in all the kind of directions, and they all decide to try different things and different tools, and on and on and on and on. AI, yes, you can try to optimize the model. You can try to try different models. You can try different things, but it cannot fix that fragmentation, right? If the wiring is faulty, it doesn't matter how great those solar panels are. It's just not going to fix it. And so really the AI the AI revolution, in my sense, is only enabled by the infrastructure underneath that might be able to actually enable it, and really delivering the results, right? So in my sense, that's really the conversation. The conversation is about unifying essentially the data, connecting all those channels together, so that in turn the AI can function properly, because it's got a better understanding of the business, a better understanding of the situation, the account, the prospects, what is historically the way to win accounts, the way that the business is being run. And so the only way that it's, there is a saying in our industry, it's garbage in, garbage out, right? So you need to feed the AI with the proper context, and then you get some quality. You can work on getting better and better quality results.
Yeah. I mean, what I find refreshing about this, because this comes up every time we have this conversation, that with AI, the quality of what you get from AI depends on the quality that you give to AI. So if you can provide good quality questions, well-rounded questions that the AI calls upon good data sources that are appropriate and work for that question, then the answer you get back is all the better. Well, look, we've got some more people that have joined us, and we need to get to a few of these questions that we've got. So let's, first of all, before we get to the questions, let's welcome Shams to the show. Shams, great to have you with us, and we will get to your question in a moment. I also need to welcome Joe, and he's going to make me pronounce all these names, which I'm going to make him laugh by doing this. He's put hello, Michel and Harvey from high atop beautiful Havre de Grace, MD at the top of Chesapeake Bay, Susquehanna River. Am I getting better, Joe? Tell me anyway. Susquehanna. Where the best in the franchise or advisory come from. Oh, I didn't know that.
It's a well-known fact.
That's clearly where Joe comes from. It's always good to have Joe with us. Fantastic resource there in America. If you are looking to go to America, please connect with Joe, because he knows a huge amount, and he's always very generous in sharing that as well. So let's have a look at a few questions. Let's start with one from Simon. Simon has put, what do franchisors need to do differently in their marketing for 2026 and beyond? It's a great question as we begin December and as we sort of finish out 2025. A lot of people are looking at at least the calendar year and looking at January and thinking, well, look, sort of what is my marketing plan for next year? Where am I going to push these resources to make that the most effective for the business? What sort of trends have you found, and what have you found that's most effective?
Well, what we do encourage our customers that we onboard, and they obviously, if they talk to us, they tend to subscribe to that point of view, is precisely to work on unifying their marketing and sales data. And so that might encompass what they are doing on with the CRM that lives in one space, the social marketing that they lives in another tool, maybe the point of sale data if they do retail, and we certainly have something coming up in that arena that is will be of interest to many. but they are essentially that's the long haul type of work that's going to really enable franchisors to harvest all the fruits coming from AI, right? There are some part, and it doesn't have to be a huge investment done at once before actually reaping any rewards. As you are breaking silos and adding AI on top of it, you can actually enable some functional areas enhanced by AI in a way that's going to be extremely profitable to the business. I mean, let's think about a few examples. We have cases where the franchisors start actually uploading to what we call the Marketing OS library, their handbook, all the brand guidelines, all the operating manuals, essentially, that goes into running the location. And now AI can actually look into that as a context and help the franchisees with any question that they have in relation to really running the operations, according to the brand book, right? According to really that brand. So that, for instance, is not terribly time consuming. It's the AI tool is already in place. The work that needs to be done is basically going through all the documentation, going through all the operating procedures and manuals, and making sure that none of this information is stored, so that the information that's going to be supplied to the AI is going to be valid and current, and definitely want to draw essentially all the answers from that. But enable something conversational that obviously from a franchise support standpoint, franchisors have a hard time. They cannot field questions necessarily at 2 a.m, where the AI can do that. So you can go at it, bit by bit, and as long as you have the long-term plan, essentially, this can be very very, very interesting in a short term.
Yeah, I mean, I think franchise businesses are positively, in this case, unique because of the nature of franchising, and because of the fact that we, as franchisors, you're trying to scale a business by creating something that's very repeatable, very scalable. By the nature of franchising, it has to be scalable, and therefore you create these documents, the handbooks, the manuals, the brand guidelines. They're created because you're a franchise. If you were organically growing a business that you were going to grow not through franchising, yes, you might create these at some point. Yes, you might create them at the beginning. But because it's franchising, it's very commonplace. And because it's commonplace, like you say, if you then put that data into that AI and into that marketing suite, again, you said, and I think you're absolutely right, that things are fragmented. Social media, point of sales, CRM data, marketing data, it's all there for a lot of these businesses, but it's in different places. And if you bring this all together in your system, in other systems, but if it's united, and if you can use that and then use AI to really work out what you can do with that data, it can become really, really powerful, can't it?
Well, yes, and it is. I mean, we can already see it. I mean, obviously, this I think is a strategic type of initiative, right? To have a concerted effort and a brainstorming around, okay, what is the situation today with our marketing and sales stack?
Yeah.
How do we move the business to that unified vision. How do we bring along, all of the franchisees and engage them? That has far-reaching implications. But then, in addition to that, and as you identify, the path, to accomplish that vision, and you have your milestones, and so you can deliver on a milestone on every quarter by having a functional area to be enabled, along the way, so that you can reap the reward as you go along, is one thing. But then, when you look at marketing automation tools, some of the operational tasks can be greatly simplified by having tools that would enable you to, okay, well, I'm going to post some articles to my website, but then at the same time, this is going to go to the social channels, right? And then people who are actually going to visit that blog post are going to be tagged in my CRM automatically. Then if we find them in our database as a match in terms of the analytics, then we have their email, and so their email can be uploaded automatically to Facebook and Google Ads into the remarketing audience. And also suddenly my ads are actually very specific to whatever the content on that blog post was. You make all of these, that personalization, really, really powerful and really impactful. And so you don't need to have a huge brand to take advantage of all of this, right? But you do need to have a proper set of tools that will enable those functions as well, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really interesting what you said there about when you put all those things together. And, like you say, it's not about a huge amount of money. It's not about having a huge network, a huge company. It's about getting these things right so that when you are trying to reach out, you gave a really good example there of something like, I don't know, a Facebook ad campaign, right? And you do that if you do that without any kind of thought, you might look at the data and it's gone out to 100,000 people, but it's gone out to completely the wrong people that don't care about it, not interested in it. You can't get any of that data. You can't do anything more with it. You can't add anything more on there to support it. And it's really important to get those things right. I want to welcome a person to the show, and that is the lovely Charles Caldwell. I'm so grateful for you being here on such a regular basis, Charles. I don't know when you ever get a chance to sleep, but he's put greetings from Hong Kong. I believe it's about 1 a.m. in Hong Kong. So please get a good night's sleep, rest well, take care. Hopefully we will see you soon.
Exactly. We'll try not to put you to sleep.
Yeah, hopefully we're riveting enough to be keeping you awake here. Joe has put, Harvey Tuck, brilliant work today on the pronunciations. Oh, well, there you go. I've done it today. I can't guarantee that I'll do it next week. We will see. Let's have a look. We've got some comments coming up from Simon. So look at this one from Shams. Shams has put, it feels like we need to create a system to collect data points in order to facilitate AI. Yeah, I mean, obviously that's important. In terms of data points, your system, can collect those and do things differently with them, kind of.
It's a feeding hose, really. So it's live, and that's also the issue with those silos, right? Is that many of them become stalled, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we were talking about the documentation, the handbook, and manual of operations in franchise businesses. Some of the documents get to be pretty stalled as well from occasionally. So. But certainly, if you bolt in the AI on top of that, what you got is something that where extracting the answer becomes a lot less of a core than what it is right now. So that's really, making it more conversational, with a tendency with the AI essentially instructed to offer guidance and moving them towards some objectives that the brand has in mind is basically very very helpful in that arena. But yes, it has to be the data has to be alive, right? So yeah, there is a context. Essentially, you train the AI, you feed the context and so forth, but within the context, that context has to be fed permanently, constantly, essentially from all those different data sources, right?
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
that's very much the name of the game, right? Very much the game. And so, but for that to happen, you do need to have the franchisees engaged so that they can see the benefit of that. I mean, I can give you examples, for instance, where the way that we see franchisees succeed with ad campaigns now, the one that's most successful are actually the one that are populating the CRM with their deals, and because we track the entire attribution of that lead all the way to the actual sales amount, we can piggyback on the holy grail of algorithms, which is to drive the ad campaigns based on return on the ad spend. That means that we can correlate a lead coming from Google or Facebook and all the way back to, okay, well, this lead generated 15 grand for the franchisee. Okay, all right. And then I'm feeding back that data back to the algorithm. And now the algorithm knows, okay, well, this is not only a conversion, but this is a conversion that actually is a very valuable one for the customer. And so we want more of this, less on the other guys, because not all the conversions are equal. So if right now you are running campaigns with just conversion data as being, okay, I got a conversion here, I got one conversion here, I got one conversion here, looking at the phone conversions, or even the phone calls, right? We have on our system, we got automatically the AI going through all the phone calls, conversations, and so forth, so automatically validating the phone calls, so that when somebody calls you because they click on the ad, if that person called you because they were looking for a job, you know what? Okay, maybe it's going to be useful to the business at some point of time, but this is not why you are running ads, right? So this can be the signals that the algorithms receive, those algorithms that are running the ad campaigns receive back from your business, can be very misleading if you are just telling the algorithm, hey, we got a conversion, right? And so that's really what this enables. And so increasingly, I think that you're going to see a difference in terms of performance between the ones that actually are working with intent on unifying the data set so that it can power essentially all the multiple algorithms, AI-based algorithms that you can find out there, right? Yeah. So this is a very concrete and very real example, right? I mean, this is.
I mean, absolutely fascinating, because there's no point in being successful unless you know why you were successful, because you can't repeat it unless you know why. And the idea of being able to track that, not just track it, but understand that journey and to feed that back to say, I want more of what this journey was.
Exactly.
And then create those links.
And it's not only the journey. I mean, there are obviously profiling. There is profiling going on. So depending on which market you operate, right? But in the US, it's pretty lax in terms of what is allowed and what is permitted. So it's great. So great playing field for marketers, and that's not the same case. It's not the same in the European Union or even in the UK for that matter. But there is definitely there are lots of possibilities offered to the US marketers at this point.
Definitely. If you have just joined us today, this is the Franchise Show, and today we are talking about the Great Franchise Marketing Reboot with Michel LeConte from SEO Samba. Before we continue with our conversation, which has been fantastic so far, let's welcome a few people who registered to attend the show. We have Tom Corrigan from Chicken Cottage, former guest on the show and big supporter of his. We have Roshan from German Doner Kebab. We've got Simon Hooper from Chaiwala. We've got the lovely Francesco from Casper's Desserts, and Francesco was, of course, a former guest on the show. We have Noah McMaster from Wingstop. Who else have we got? We've got Dwayne Quick, Stephen, Joseph, all from Wendy's. Let's do one more. We have Rich Jinks from Chopsticks. So fantastic to have you with us. Let me just see. I think, Michel, are you still there?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, there you go. No problem. Right, let's get back into this. Let's have a look. We've got some good comments coming up here. Let's have a look at one from Simon. So Simon has put, authenticity and trust has always been important in franchise marketing for me. Will this be challenged with a wider spread of AI use in franchise marketing? Think we are all getting very good at spotting AI generated content now. Yeah, I think this is great to talk about this authenticity in the realms of AI and marketing. You're very much talking about using AI as an engine to power, or an authentic marketing approach, rather than using it to create content and try and pretend to be somebody. What's your thoughts on this one?
So like any tools, right? The usage of it is what you can make out of it is going to be paramount to the outcome, right? And so using AI, yes, but using AI for what it's good at. Yes, I mean there are lots of content out there that is of rather poor quality, and it's generated by AI. It tends to be worldly, or it lacks personality or voice, right? So you got to be careful, I think, especially when it comes to the actual the last mile of marketing itself. But I think that the power lies into what AI can do in terms of analysis, in terms of correlation of data, and enabling essentially the thought process, and automating the mundane. Right. That's where it's really good at. For everything else, yes, I think marketers still need to come up with ideas, come up with concepts, and work on copy and test and try, right? And
You're right. You're right. I really like that expression you used, automating the mundane, because I think that's really, really relevant when you're looking at this. You can use these tools to automate things that perhaps aren't quite as important as coming up with that content. I think there's still a way in which, if you've come up with content and it's genuinely you, right, that there's something in there. You said there about lacking voice, and there's something about when you've come up with that content and it's from your own voice, that still AI is struggling, maybe thankfully, I don't know, but when it comes from that person, it's just got some extra bit of magic. But like you say, these tools, you can still create that, still have fantastic people, but they don't have to do some of those mundane tasks, and they can put their efforts and their energy into the stuff they love and the stuff people enjoy.
I think that's really the visible tip of the iceberg. That's really the last. That's really the. I mean, obviously, it is very extremely visible, right? It is extremely visible because it's very approachable. It's immediate. So no wonder people use it. I think the hard work, the strategic work that needs to be done at the corporate, at the brand level, is the orchestrating of the data set so that it can power essentially all the AI. And even when we talk about AI-based marketing, a lot of it is operationally, right? That it needs to happen. So it tends to be pretty geeky in that sense. Because that orchestrating will require good geeks to go in there and bring it all together so that the AI can do that work in terms of analysis, in terms of coding, all those points, and getting the relevant information to the attention of the operator, right? So that then they can send that last human message, which is going to be, hey, using the voice of that person, because maybe they had that person already on the phone. They know how they speak, how they talk, whether that's you can tell whether that's Harvey or Michel speaking, definitely. So the same applies, I think with the usage of AI. But surprisingly, that's the part that everybody sees, because that's the part that is used and abused all over the place, because that's the most approachable one. But I think the brand should not be too concerned about that. Those are things that are derived from experience, and what's not, we'll adjust all of these, right? What matters is really working on the underlying infrastructure so that you can enable everything else. That's where the real value add is.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to just go to one more comment here from Shams, and I think it would be great to talk about maybe some top tips or some proactive things that franchisors could maybe do as they head into 26 for their marketing. But let's have a quick look at Shams' comment here. Shams has put, how should franchisors balance technology implementation with cost? Should they drive this, or should they push franchisees to pick up tech implementation costs? Yes, this is an interesting point, because we talk often about the roles, responsibilities, where that partnership, we use that expression, maybe we shouldn't, but franchisor or franchisee, and who does what, and where do you think this should sit? Should it start with the franchisor, or should it be
well, it depends how the FDD is organized, right? I mean, FDD for the US, the franchise disclosure document. So I mean, obviously, if you charge a somewhat important technology and marketing fee, then maybe you will have to take on all the cost, right, of that implementation, because bringing the marketing engine is probably part of the formula. But now, if you charge no technology and marketing fee or a very small amount, it might be totally acceptable to your franchisees to actually charge extra or have them shoulder the burden of that cost. But in that case, the orchestration still falls in the franchisor territory. I mean, but because if there is no orchestration, then you're back to square one, right? Which is where most are, where franchisees have decided to use different tools. The marketing agencies that are running the ad campaigns, they are running them using their own reporting tools. So you have no real value add when you are a brand and a franchisor. If you have 100 franchisees that are served by 25 different agencies, they're all running their own dashboards, and they all have the data set essentially, but you know what? You have no access to it. So when you onboard a new franchisee, well, what you can tell them is, pick one of those agencies that seem to be functioning pretty well. But in reality, we have no idea where what people are really using essentially to get to be the best customers for locations, because we don't have that data, right? So if you are going to actually orchestrate that marketing infrastructure, you're going to need a single system where the agencies can be invited essentially to participate within the system, and so that their data is going to feed the system which you basically own.
Mm.
And then you actually have the ability to not only have a continuity and build on top of that, right? But you can drive performance up across the entire system, regardless of which agency is preferred or favored by a local franchisee or region, or even different markets altogether, because you could very well invite as well the master franchise essentially to be part within of that system as well. And so what happens is that you actually provide a benchmark across all of these. So suddenly it's not like, oh, we feel that yes, this agency, we heard some good things about it. What does it mean? Well, nobody really knows. Hey, here is the benchmark, here's the system, here's how we basically rank the performance of each franchisees in terms of lead generation, the cost, from an organic standpoint, from a paid standpoint, and what is the return, and we have actually the data in there, right? And so we can see what works. And so if we know what works at this point, why would you bother potentially with 25 agencies? Or if you actually want to give that much and that many possibilities to your franchisees, you will also give to the agencies essentially a playbook, which is okay. Well, we start from that level now, right? So we're not going to. We are basically cutting all the risk in terms of performance of horrible type of situation, because what we've been able to learn from everything that we accumulated there.
Yeah, love it. We're going to end with Joe's comment here. He's putting getting good at the mundane is important, and AI is not always capable of getting nuance and context right. I think that's very wise. I think we should be kind of at one with AI, nurture it, keep in balance, like we do with nature as well. But great comment there, Joe. So we have come to the end of the first part of today's show. I'd like to thank everybody for their comments and getting involved in today's conversation. If you're watching this in the future, please pop a comment in. We can always get to that at any point in the future on any of these episodes. Please also scan the QR code that's on the screen right now. Check out Michel's website, check out SEO Samba, have a look at the franchise influencers list, see what you think there, nominate the person you love. Doesn't have to be me, but I'm joking. And it's been a fantastic conversation. So, of course, this is the bit where my camera goes off for a little bit, because it's now technically illegal to see me not wearing some sort of hat. And of course, now I've got an absolute beauty on. And this one, of course, is sponsored and brought to you by PJ Murphy and Sons, bespoke British hatters. And it's my lovely friend Paul Murphy, and he is a hatter, and he's made this absolute beauty for us. So this is the part of the show where we stop talking a little bit from franchising, and we don't talk about marketing, and we're going to talk a little bit to the lovely Michel. Now, we normally sort of talk about claim to fame or somebody famous you've met, but you probably have seen in the background, there's some fascinating, I mean, is it a TV screen? I think it's some fish. So perhaps you could tell us a little bit about your fish behind you and how you've got into that fascinating hobby, because they look enchanting.
Yeah, whoa. The fish keeping is a hobby of mine since I was 12. So I went through different iterations. So I'm afraid I've lost many fishes. And I love fish as well in a plate. Both food and friends, right? But it's going tropical to marine and what's not. And in fact, the fish are not the hardest one to keep. I mean, the hardest part to keep is probably the corals, and that's where you can be worried about. This is where you can be worried about corals, really, in terms of how hard it is to actually keep within a confined environment, something that is pretty controlled. Tells you that yes, it's going to be a tough ride ahead. So hopefully we can help them adapt to survive. But amazing creatures, amazing creatures.
Very much, very much.
People.
And you've just given another analogy there, that they have to adapt to survive. And we've just been talking today about adapting our marketing strategies to survive. So I think your wonderful hobby in keeping those fish is a beautiful analogy for marketing. You said when we were speaking earlier that you keep a few fish and try and keep them as long as possible, and I like that as well, because that's a nod to great relationship building as well. So
great. Yeah, you can see the symbiotic relationships. Like the fish getting cleaned up by the shrimps and or having like a crab living inside the coral, but like moving around. You think that the coral is moving around? No, that's because there is a crab actually in the foot of the coral that is moving and using the coral as a protection. I mean, all those kind of things. Amazing strategies. So and that's one thing that AI is not super good at, is inventing stuff, right? So I think marketers are not going to be replaced by AIs, but marketers who actually have a good mastery of the infrastructure are probably the ones that are going to supply, to replace the one that don't, right? So I think that's basically what it comes down to. If you're going to make that
absolutely,
if you're going to make that link.
Well, I do let you get your own back on me now, because you've answered all these questions beautifully. Now, you can let me get away with this. No one has, so it'd be a first, and you've got the opportunity to be the first to let me get away with this. But you can now ask me any question you like. I never know what this is going to be, so if you'd like to, you can. If you don't, you can let me get away with it. It's up to you.
Yeah, man, you would love that,
I would, yeah, it never happens.
Is there anybody in the audience that would like to actually ask you a question that somebody who maybe has not been on a show? And
I'll tell you what, anyone can pop in a question. I will answer that as well. That's a one-time only here, but you might have given away that could be your little gift to the audience. So
okay, yeah. I mean, that would be good if somebody has a question. Or other than that, I'll ask you what's your favorite pet? Because
my favorite pet, well, it's got to be Pebbles the cat. Some people on LinkedIn will know my lovely pet cat, who's nearly 17 years old now. And I was never a big fan of cats. I always grew up with dogs, but I love him to bits. And having a pet is a fantastic thing, especially when you're younger and you have a pet. But I think even having a pet is a great analogy for marketing, because you've got to look after this companion, and your marketing strategy is your business companion. But yes, a shout out to Pebbles the cat there. We have gone over time today. It's been an amazing conversation. So I would first of all like to thank everyone who has been with us live today and for getting involved in our conversation. It's always fantastic to have you with us live, whether you've put in questions or whether you've been listening on a journey or whether you're listening in the future. You are what makes this show special, and thank you for your continued support. It's greatly appreciated. And of course, I would like to thank the wonderful Michel Leconte from SEO Samba for a fantastic appearance, some amazing advice, and an excellent conversation. Thank you, Michel.
Well, thank you, Harvey, for having me. Thank you, everybody. Hope that was useful. Until next time, yes.
Excellent. It only leaves me now to let you know what's going to go on next week. So next week on the Franchise Show, we are going to be talking about holding on to your fantastic franchise employees and retaining those staff, and things that you can do to keep your staff happy and content in the jobs that they do. That's going to be with the fantastic Nick Pleven. So please join us next Tuesday, which will be the 9th of December, 5:15 GMT, 12:15 EST. And until next time, take very good care.